you are seeing onto federal program, democracy and rule of law, a program of Galaxy Television, and we are looking at the ATM charges based on the central bank policy. We're also going to look at the visa ban on some security officials of the country by Canada and some other countries as a result of human rights violations and abuses. Now, concerning this human rights index of the nation, which has attracted the attention of some countries outside our shores, that made Canada and some other countries to deny visa to some of our security officials. What do you have to say?
Well, I think it's not a new development. It's something that had been on, if you remember clearly, after the 2023 election.
Yeah.
Because of the way the election went, the fraud that were associated with that election and the manipulation of the election, the U.S. Embassy and some embassies decided that they were going to place some politicians, some of our leaders who were involved in that election fraud on visa ban. And I think those visa ban, some of them were actually placed on red alert for visa ban. Okay, and I think it's a prolongation of it now that is adding up now to what is happening at the moment. This question of human rights index of some of our leaders, you know, those who are in government and all of that, it shows that the eyes of many nations are on our country and our leaders. Unfortunately, it's only our leaders who don't realize this, that there are many eyes that are on them in the way they conduct the business of government and all of that. And that's why what is, and it looks as if the leadership of this country that have been so reckless and so difficult to change, they are so much afraid of this visa ban. You can see a lot of horse trading, a lot of comments, a lot of gingering of opposition to the visa ban by people in government, by politicians. Recently, you discovered that we had that even our chief of defense staff, General Musa, was denied a visa.
Yes.
And you can see the immediate response of the National Security Advisor,
yeah,
also on the same issue,
yeah,
because he knows that also his name is also one of those involved. And of course, the Jihadi Yoju's letter,
yes,
petition to some of the embassies, the UK embassy, the US embassy, the Canadian embassy, over the PRO, the PPRO of the police, had also been in a point of discourse.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of people in government are condemning these countries for the visa ban, for issuing visa ban and all of that, which shows that it's a sensitive issue to our politicians. And maybe that's why the matter has become in the front of the burner now,
yes,
for discussion.
Yes.
You know, but looking at it from the legal perspective, well, one would not say that it's a human right abuse. It's not a human right abuse. Every country has the discretion.
No. What is an issue is that the visa ban was imposed as a result of human rights violations in Nigeria.
Yes.
Human rights abuses in Nigeria.
Yes, I was coming to that angle,
yes,
also.
Yes.
But I wanted to look at it, the legality of imposition of that visa ban by those countries. First of all.
Yes.
Of course, every country has the sovereign right to determine who gets his visa, who enters its country at any particular time.
Yes.
So the question of they don't have that right to impose a visa ban, like some of the government officers are, some of the officials are saying, is to me absolute nonsense. Because every country has a right to impose. You don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to commit any crime.
Yes.
For them to say no, we don't want you in our country.
Yes.
We are not allowing you to enter into our country.
Yes.
So it's a prerogative of each country.
Yes.
To determine that.
Yes.
And those also shows that you are a persona non grata as far as those countries is concerned.
Yes.
Okay, because once they place a visa ban on your family or yourself from being able to travel or come into their country, it shows that you are a persona non grata. They do not recognize you as somebody who is human enough to enter into their nation. So that's on one aspect.
Yes.
Then on the other aspect of the effect, why the countries are doing it, the human rights violation in the country, of course, it's becoming very appalling that our government, the state apparatus, are becoming very, very reckless. Very reckless in the abuse of human rights. Okay, and the protection of human rights is no longer a top priority of the government. And there is a reason for this. I think the reason may have been as a result of the normality of the insecurity of the nation. What do I mean? It appears as if killings, abduction, death on our streets all over had dehumanized us to a point that the question of arrest, detention of persons is no longer seen as
an aberration.
As an aberration by the state apparatus, by the state officials, by the instrument of coercion, those who hold the instrument, and law enforcement agencies. They no longer see it as a big deal. In fact, some of them use it as an excuse for arrest and detention of persons. And of course, if you are a government critic today, you suffer the likelihood of even your rights being violated more than those who commit crime in government. You know, and we have seen a lot of situations where people, even governors, you saw the Kogi example.
Yes.
A governor that was indicted, see the grandstanding treatment he was given at EFCC and all of that. Up to today, no headway on that case. Okay, so but it appears as if, and then a lot of politicians who are discredited are given special treatment by the police, by the DSS, and all those. But those who are against the state of the nation, those who are critics of the nation, they are treated as if they are animals. Look at the way Nnamdi Kanu is being treated. Despite all the court orders, despite all the efforts to allow him to have a free trial, nobody is saying that he's not guilty or he's guilty, but allow the man to have a free trial.
Yes.
That is what the law says. But you can see the razzmatazz all around it and all of that. So it doesn't call for a nation that is democratic. That most people, the way they look at us, they wonder the kind of leaders that we have in this country, and the kind of government that we have.
Yeah,
we have become a laughing stock.
The other day, that was precisely last Monday, Nnamdi Kanu appeared in the court once again, and Justice Binjanako wanted to continue with his trial, and he said no, he does not want to continue trial in that court because he had already applied that the judge recused herself, and she did that last year. So why?
And she made an order.
Yes, she made an order, which order has not been set aside.
Yes,
that has not been appealed again. So that order is still valid and subsisting. So now they still brought him there, and they say he does not want to continue trial there. And a lot of people, politicians, even international communities, are calling for the release of this young man who has suffered detentions, prolonged detentions,
yes,
in spite of, orders for him to be released, and the government is still. And these are some of the human rights abuses that we are talking about.
Well, let me first of all say this. Of course, you remember how this incident started. How the man was abducted from Kenya.
Yes.
By the Nigerian government.
Yes.
Okay. How he was illegally taken away from that country.
Yes.
And brought forcefully back into the country.
Yes.
And how he was in detention for a long time.
Yes.
Even before he was the case was charges were preferred against him.
Yes.
And all of that. How all manner of assistance and privileges is entitled to as a human being were taken away from him. Yeah. And this does not augur well for democracy. It does not augur well for the human right. It shows that the government does not respect his own laws, his own constitution that gives rights to persons. The government does not respect the international treaties that they have signed. The African Charter on Human Rights is there. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, they are there.
Yes.
Even the Universal Declaration of, even though that's not binding on state, but it provides a general standard, minimum standard, that a state should observe, in matters of human rights. But we have not seen all of that in display. And of course, it's only when you find critics of government or people who are asking for self-determination that this kind of treatment is meted out. You know, when you see most of these political cases, the way they handle it, whether it's from the DSS or from the police they handle it with special privileges for some of these people. Economic saboteurs, those who have stolen our money, corrupt politicians, they are treated with dignity. But when it comes to people like Sowore, people like Dejade Yoju, or some of those who speak against the illegalities of government, they are treated as if they are subhumans. They are not human beings. And I think this is why the international community is looking at the human rights record of the country.
Yes.
And there is a need for us to do something about that.
Now, before now, we recall that in yesteryears, once there is a fundamental rights application filed in a court, usually the court will take those applications first as a matter of urgency because they have to do with human rights.
Yes.
But that appears to have disappeared these days. Yeah. What do you think?
In fact, the provision of the fundamental rights enforcement rules says it should be done within 14 days.
Yes.
Okay? It should be given
priority,
speedy and expeditious treatment.
Yes.
But unfortunately, you find some of the judges of the Federal High Court adjourning it 3 months, 4 months.
Yes, saying that they have. Even one of the judges was saying the other time that he has over 1,000 human rights cases
in his court.
Yes, in his court. You'll be wondering what is the judge doing with 1,000 human rights cases not yet dispensed with.
It's unfortunate
when human rights cases are to be dispensed with urgency and speed.
Well, the problem we have is that the political cases have superseded the other cases that have to do with human rights, that has to do with maybe offenders, criminal cases that used to take precedent before.
Yes.
Particularly those ones that deals with the rights of persons.
Yes.
They are no longer nothing is urgent anymore other than political cases.
Now,
it's only election, petition matters and political matters that are urgent now.
There's an aspect of this visa ban I want us to look at.
Yes.
There's a lawyer that's called for visa ban on some government officials and politicians. Yes. Ban on themselves and their families. Do you think that such a call, particularly on their families, is right?
Well, well, let me put it this way.
Yes.
It's a petition against certain persons.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the discretion, the decision is left to the embassies or the government, the State Department in the US or any of the embassies to decide whether they will actually place any ban. There is nothing wrong in calling for a ban, on anybody. Okay?
Yes.
If you have a grievance against somebody, especially where the person is so big that you cannot handle that person, you can ask for anything. You can write to International Criminal Court. Even though the International Criminal Court, you can write to anybody. You can petition anywhere.
Yes, but the point the point I want to address is this.
Yes.
Someone has done something that appears to be a gross violation of human rights, or be privy to it.
Yes.
Then someone has written a petition to the embassies.
Yes.
That visa ban be imposed on such a person. Then the person's wife, who never participated in the questionable conduct, and the person's children, who may not be privy or parties to it, is it right constitutionally for them to be made to suffer for what they never did?
Well, it was not something. Well, it's not right.
You get the point.
I get the point you are making. That is
because if we go against the person who has done something wrong
as a proxy, that's what you are saying.
Yes.
The issue is this. Nobody is guilty
by reason of a relationship or proxy.
Yes. Obviously.
Yes.
But you find that over the years, most of those embassies had to place such on even the family members of the people that are liable, like the American embassy, for instance. They make sure that your children, your wife, or anybody related to you or connected to you is not giving visa, so long as he is to impose some level of responsibility on
public office holders,
particularly in Africa and Asia, where people violate the rights of persons with impunity. There's no sense in taking care of your own family when you are brutalizing and destroying the life of another person's family. Most of those people that are incarcerated, that are treated as if they are animals, they have families too, they have wives too, they have children too. So you cannot continue in your attitude, okay, violating the rights of other persons while you expect the right of your own family to be protected. It doesn't make any sense. And I think that's the dimension in which that aspect, that little aspect of bringing their family in as a measure to deter some of these kind of people from conducting themselves in this manner.
But the previous visa bans that were imposed does not seem to have really done much to curb the excesses of the human rights violators in this country.
No, but I would disagree with you on that.
What are your reasons?
I would disagree with you. Number one, you find that the only thing that our military men, those who violate, military men who violate rights.
Abacha told the US and other countries to go to blazes.
But his family could not travel anywhere.
Yes.
And they suffered for not being able to travel because of their business connections. Their business, and that's why most of the phones, most of Abacha's phone, if you mention Abacha,
yes,
most of the phones were recovered, were
yes,
sent back. If those families had been able to go to fight for those phones, some of those phones would not have been released to Nigeria. That's the truth about it. But because they are placed on ban, they can't travel. Unlike the Abiola family that were able to trace some of their own family wealth,
their father's wealth,
and all of that, and recover it and all that. But in the case of the Abacha, they can't.
But the issue
because of the ban.
The issue is this: these countries, US and some other countries, have imposed visa ban in the past on our leaders, and human rights violations keep on increasing every day. That's the point I'm making.
No, the point I'm making is that the only thing
that Nigerian leaders the only thing that Nigerian leaders respond to is this visa ban. That's the only punishment they respond to now, and I think they should do more of it. The embassy should help us because we are all captured. We are all captured in this mess. Unfortunately, the only thing they are afraid of, because they need to move most of the money they are carrying, most of the money they are laundering, they need to follow it up. You can see some of them making business trip every now and again because they have their money outside. So and if they can't have access to what they have outside, it's a psychological trauma for them. That's why they comply. That's why they behave well. That's why they listen to the embassy whenever the embassy gives them any instruction. And that brings to my mind another issue. When our leaders, our public office holders, are carrying our phones and starting them abroad, and then maybe after their tenure they go and start enjoying those, can these countries, the other countries, help us to recover those funds?
That's what we are saying. Where people are complaining
because they are impoverishing the nation.
Obviously yes. Unfortunately, those money are there. They know if you ask America, all our politicians who have bank accounts,
they have them.
They have the
all the details.
All the details.
The amount, the banks, and
yes, they have all the details.
Yes.
But you see, the problem is the world is global capitalism is now triumphing. And of course, every country wants more of such money to be brought into their economy.
And does not it show that we are carrying our phones to other countries to bloom their own economies?
That's the point I'm making. That they will not help you to restrict your own people from bringing
the money for them.
Because the more of your money they bring into their country, the better for their economy. And you can see the way they drag their feet, even in the recovering of the loot, the illicit loot.
Yes.
It's very tedious to get the government of these countries to release what they are, and even those things they are releasing, they are just tranches. They are not even the big money.
Yes.
Some of the big money are still locked up in Swiss account in the Orient, or like in the UK, some of the banks in the UK have a lot of money from Nigerians who have died, whose generations are still living in penury now, but their wealth, the wealth their father carted away, are still locked up in various. The London club, they know, they have their records. The Paris club, they have the records. They know those Nigerians who have money locked up all over, and they are using those wealth. Those are the money they give back to Africans as loans, to our government as loans. It's from those money, not their own money. They are not giving us their own money, their own funds, or their own revenue or income. No, they go to the Paris club, the London club. That's what they do. All those funds, they pull it into special accounts where they now give it out as loan with stringent interest rates to countries that are unreasonable, countries like Nigeria who don't know what they are doing, who collect loan and think it's all Father Christmas.
Yes.
No, it's never Father Christmas. It's the fund that your people have taken there that they are giving back to you. So it's unfortunate, but that's the country we are in. That's the country we are in.
Now, back to the issue of human rights violations. The government came up initially and gave a posture that's a government that will respect human rights. But we've seen that even the government, both at the federal and state levels, are selective in the court orders they comply with. And then, what does this portend for the future of democracy in this nation?
The only thing is anarchy and disorder. And I'm sure they are ready for it, because you can see the way they muster the instrument of state, the instrument of cohesion. They are building the instrument of cohesion, but the only problem is the instrument of force in Nigeria is being used against the wrong people, against government critics. They don't use the same level of force and treatment for captured Boko Haram or ISWAP members. Rather, they keep those people in military barracks, feed them, treat them well, provide clothing for them, and provide good food for them. I understand that they even watch television. They know what is going on in all those military barracks, in some of those facilities where they are kept. But if you are a critic of government, you won't get such a treatment. You won't get such a treatment. So that's the kind of thing that is going on, where we are incentivizing illegality, we are incentivizing crime, and all of that, instead of building a strong nation, instead of building a strong institution that can help to secure lives. We are encouraging more and more bandits. We are encouraging, for instance, a friend of mine who is a security personnel was telling me of one of the cousins that was abducted. The cousin was abducted somewhere in the north, and he went to his office, security office, DSS, to find out what was happening. And they were able to locate where the person is being kept. Okay. By the next day, they told him that your cousin is so place.
Okay.
And he was trying to get them. They said he should go to the police and talk to the police. He went to the police leadership and said, look, this my cousin is abducted, is in so place. The police said, Oga, just go and settle with those people. Anything they ask you, just pay. And he was shocked. As a security man, he was shocked. So, and he asked them why. They said there is nothing we can do, collateral damage. If we say we want to go there, they may kill everybody. And all of that. You see, those kind of flimsy excuse. An abdication of duty, responsibility, and commitment to the liberty and safety of the people.
Another thing I want us to quickly look at before we round up the program is this. These human rights violations, can we lay part of the blame on those that were at the forefront, the vanguard of human rights, that seems to have either gone to sleep? By that I mean Nigerian Labour Congress, human rights agencies, civil society movements, groups, and so on. Because I know there used to be CLO in those days.
Yes.
There are also there are many of them.
Yes. I think the only one that is working now is Serap, and they have a narrow focus, which is socio-economic rights. And they are doing a fantastic job in that regard. Apart from Serap, I am not sure there is any other human rights or civil society organization that is strong now, you know, that is doing any serious advocacy for human rights, except individuals. Okay.
Yeah. And in the past, there used to be this
organized
structures where people come together and organize protests.
We have CD in those days.
Yes.
Okay, we had CD in those days.
Yes.
You know, in defense of human rights.
Yes.
We had CLO. We had so many other Amnesty International.
Yes.
We had so many Transparency International.
Yes.
We had so many of those organizations.
Canvass and crusading for human rights protection.
But all of that
embarking on protests
now.
And all that.
We can't blame those structures anyway.
Why?
We can't blame those structures because you see, when it appears as if people in government are very deaf and they are not willing to change. They are not willing to change. And if you keep saying the same thing over and over again, they will tell you that you are an enemy of the government. They will tag you as an enemy of the state.
Are you saying that it's because of fear that some of them have got?
Obviously. So of course, some of those who were fighting for human rights some years back, they are now part of the government. Okay, we have a lot of them who are ministers.
Yes.
Okay, so some of them, I mean, what do you say to that? So a lot of them are fed up of being on the other side. So people are now joining the bandwagon. Very few of us are still remaining on this side.
Then are you now saying that those that have decided to join the bandwagon are not principled to hold on to the convictions of their ideological leanings?
If they are principled, they won't be in government. If they are principled, they won't take appointments. Forget that. So there are people who fought a particular issue, human rights issue, to the Supreme Court in this country. There are people who prosecuted political offenders.
Yes.
In this same country, who are now ministers, who are now part of the same system.
Yes.
That they were fighting against some years back. There were people who criticized government in the past, you know, and put government on their toes, but today they are part of the government.
And so is it not because it appears the tempo has died down, people are not putting government on the toes, that they are not doing things
government does not have
the way they wanted to do it without caring.
Government does not have any challenge, even from the political parties. There's no challenge. We have a one-party state now in Nigeria. Whether we believe it or not, Nigeria is already a one-party state, and we are on the throne of dictatorship. And that's why a lot of policies have been thrown out. You know, oppressive policies have been thrown out, and there are nobody complaining, nobody challenging it. Okay, nobody is challenging it. Of course, if we are in a democracy, you cannot just by means of pronouncement, by means of proclamation, just impose levies or place restrictions. You cannot. It's only in a military government that is done. Okay, and we are seeing it happening in a democracy for the first time in the history of this country. So it's a matter that calls for serious action.
Well, we thank you for your analysis, and because our time is fast spent, in just few seconds, let's have your party words on the CBN policy on ATM, withdrawal charges and limitations, and then the issue of human rights abuses and visa ban.
Yes, first of all, the CBN should not see its function as that of imposing levies and taxes on the people. It's not their function. It's not the function of the CBN under any disguise. And the idea of bringing experts to come and be running the CBN is also an aberration. It is a total disregard for those who are official, those who are career employees of the CBN. The present CBN governor should sit down and strategize on alternative means of helping the economy, not to impose further hardship on Nigerians, not to impose further hardship on those who are managing their wealth, their lives, by putting their money in banks. Their eyes should not be in our accounts. They should look for alternative way of making money for government. No government can tax its people to prosperity. I said that before on one of your platforms here. Yes. You cannot tax your people in a situation like this where there is economic depression. You cannot tax your people to prosperity. Then on the issue of the visa ban, I think we need more of that. The embassy should help us to put all these bigger than life men who are sitting over the nation, who are oppressing Nigerians, to put them under this visa ban, so that they will be tied up with us. They will not enjoy the benefit of the stolen wealth of our nation, our common patrimony that they are taking to other countries.
Thank you very much.